So one of the issues is this discussion of risk in childbirth. And there are those who would argue that birth is inherently dangerous, that no matter what one does, it still retains this level of danger that can't be predicted, and for that reason we have to have all births in the hospital. We've also had the continuation of the specialization of medicine. You know, it went from midwives to doctors, family doctors, to obstetricians, and now we're having further specialization in obstetrics to the development of obstetrical anesthesiologists, maternal fetal medicine specialists, all of which treats mothers less and less as a whole and more as a combination of the carrier of this baby and a risk factor to be addressed to.
In most places in the world that have very good birth outcomes, most of the births are done by midwife, regardless of what class of society you are, what ethnicity you are, and what racial group you consider yourself belonging to.
Regardless of your economic status, your race, your societal level, you are going to benefit from midwifery care. And this is something we know because it works worldwide. So for me, as a European person coming into an American system, I was kind of shocked to find that mindset.
For instance, some of the best perinatal outcomes come from countries in Europe. And the way the system is set up is that when you come into the healthcare system, you see a midwife. If there's a problem, that midwife would send you or refer you to a general practitioner. If it's a problem that the general practitioner feels it's so complicated, then he sends you to the specialist, which is the OB/GYN doctor. Here in the United States, we do things a little bit in reverse. We then send our woman first to the specialist instead of those who are expert in normal. And those are the midwives.
The myth that midwifery care is for this very small elite group of people and that the rest of the population are better served with obstetricians is really interesting for me, coming from a background where it's completely the flip. The opposite is so, such that you see an obstetrician when you have a desperate, dire obstetric need. And every time you do that, you're considered to be almost someone who's not pitied, but certainly, wow, you poor thing, you have to see the doctor, oh dear, there's a problem here.
A lot of people in the U.S. are used to the main caregiver for birth would be an obstetrician, and they don't necessarily think, oh, an obstetrician is a surgeon.
And if you look at the nature of their training is all about risk, because clinicians in their training get trained to focus on this mother at this point in time and all of the bad things that could happen to her. And if you're trained for that way in a number of years, all of the reward systems around you focus on that. You're less likely to get sued if you approach things that way. Then you're going to end up with a lot of people who deep in their hearts believe what I think is a mistake, which is that all birth is high risk.
Midwives look at this issue slightly differently. We are in the business of promoting optimal health. And by doing that, our perspective in research or in practice is to try and pay attention to what we know about physiology, try and pay attention to what we know about how the body, what the science has told us how the body works, and how that our essential and evolved mechanisms to promote health can work best.
We've never had a time in the U.S. in the 20th century or even in the late 19th where the basic assumption was that, yeah, women can have babies and women can be there with them. And so we have a lot of relearning to do.